All right, I would like to welcome everyone to a very special podcast. We have two people in the studio today that I'm very excited to introduce. The first is Miss AnnSampson. That's become a very dear person to me. We're going to get into a little bit about our personal story and how this has evolved. And we also have Dr. Warren Wheeler. I'd like for you to both say hello.
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 All right, we got everything set up. Let's go. So, the reason of our podcast today is that I met Ann because I was doing seminars about stem cell therapy. She had tried a lot of stuff with that knee, and she had her back against the wall surgery. She came to the seminar, she listened to the information, and at the very end, she came up to me and she says, "I'll take this information, I'll go home, look over it, and I'll get back with you." And in between, I'm going to tell this story right quick, get this out of the way, because this was very, very awesome. So in between the time that we had the seminar and the time that she was scheduled to come do her consultation, there was some business decisions, some things changed, and the location to where we were operating out of changed. And she showed up to the old location, and the doors were shut, and the business was closed. And Ann called me that day and left a voicemail that I still have on my phone today because she was wondering where I was and where these stem cells, was this all a big hoax,
Yeah.
I mean, this email literally, or this text message and voicemail, actually, if I ever get down and need a boost, I just listen to it because, seriously, she was very disappointed that we weren't there to help her. And the good news is that we reconnected. We got all the details worked out. We were able to go to her home, do the procedure in the comfort of her own home, and she's here today to share her story. So I'd like to start a little bit about who you are. Tell us a little bit about your backstory leading up to the procedure. Yep, and go ahead.
Well, I think that the whole thing started years ago. Back in 2001, I had an auto accident, and I was T-boned. And as a result, the car was spun around. My knee went into the dashboard. And I didn't even concentrate on the fact of that pain because I had a lot of soft tissue injuries from where the vehicle had gone into my side. And after those healed somewhat, it was my back and my neck. I had a lot of problems with that, which took me years to work through. And then finally, the knee starts acting up. And it would periodically act up, and then it would get better, and so on. So I really didn't do much about it. But this past year, about around January or so, I found that I was not able to walk anymore. I walk. I'm retired, and I like to walk. I like to keep physically fit. And at that time, I was walking 3-4 miles a day. And I could barely walk at all because of the pain in my knee. And I was not willing to accept life like that. So I wanted to do something. I went in to see the doctor, and he gave me cortisone, did absolutely nothing. A month or two later, we did the gel shots, the 3 in a row, and they helped a little bit, but it went away probably in about a month or two, I think, if it lasted that long. So I knew that none of those options were going to work. But, and of course, he's saying, well, you have to have surgery. I said, well, what about stem cells? I've read about that. I've been thinking about that. And he says, oh, no, you don't want anything to do with stem cells. That's a hoax. They don't work. Really? I mean, he actually said stuff like that.
That's funny.
And I said, I said, oh, okay. And I left the office, and I said, well, I'm going to figure this out for myself. And I did. I started looking for seminars, and I had gone to one before yours. It was way up in Ormond Beach, and I didn't really want to be dealing with someone quite that far away if I didn't have to. And when yours came across in the paper, I thought, okay, that looks local. I'll go see it. And I liked what you had to say. The other one was really very trying to impress you about who their patients were. And they had a lot of, sports figures and stuff like that. That's all well and good, but I really don't care. I want to know what they're going to do for me. So your presentation, I love the way you showed things on the visual, which they had a terrible visual, but yours was very good, and it was very logical. I'm a very logical person. And if what you said would make sense to me, and when it all sinks in, do I really believe in my heart that this is going to work? Then I was going to go ahead and do it. And thinking it over those days, that's the conclusion that I came to. So when I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And when you weren't there, Todd, I was a little pissed.
It was more than a little. I still have that voicemail, and maybe one day I'll release snippets with your permission, just so people can know what my day was like. I waited 2 days to call you back.
Yes, you did.
2 days. I said, let her calm down.
Let
a
her
little
cool
bit.
down.
I want to treat her, but I'm a little scared right now. But that, and that was the person that I met at that seminar that day. You had the knee brace on that day at the seminar, didn't you? Yeah, I remember.
Well, you were upstairs. Of course, they had an elevator.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that because I looked, and I always wore it. At that time, I wore it constantly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
And we were looking back in the files. How long has it been since we did your treatment?
You did my treatment at the end of August.
At the end of August.
Just before Labor Day and that lovely storm that we had that came and visited us.
That's
this
right.
year.
That's right. I remember gearing up for that. You wrote it out.
I did. That I
We
did.
evacuated. We were scared off. So that's exactly the way that I remember it. And let me tell you, for all the people that are tuning in right now, the only reason that Ann has agreed to come here today, I can assure you, knowing her and her character, is to share this story to give hope to others. She's not being paid anything. She was not coerced or anything. She is the type of person, much like everyone we're going to have on this show. The only thing that we're here to do is to share information. We're not giving medical advice. We're not saying, if you do this, this is going to happen for you. But people need options. They don't have them right now. Cortisone, look, I'm not giving medical advice, and I've got a doc over there that's going to tell you all about it. Cortisone is not the answer. It is a Band-Aid with poison at best. I know. But, if that's the only option you have, if my knee was hurting, I would take it. But that's the whole reason that we're doing this podcast, and we're really getting these stories out there because people need to know their options. Doc?
I'm curious, before you received the cortisone shot, what would you say your pain level was?
Well, it probably varied between, when on a good day, it might have been about a 5.
On a scale of 1 to 5?
On a scale of 1 to 10,
1 to 10?
that was the least amount of pain.
Okay.
And there were times when, I had a Baker cyst and it popped.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a
Right.
10. That was, if I was not someplace where I could hold on to a wall,
Sure.
I would have dropped to the floor. That's how bad
I
it was.
can imagine.
So, and that burned and stung for days
It
afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I couldn't walk comfortably. I couldn't sleep. When it started, I couldn't even sleep.
Right.
So,
So then after the cortisone shot, what was the pain level like?
maybe more like a 5 or a 6.
Okay. And then how long was it before you received some injections of hyaluronic acid?
It probably ended up being about a month and a half before we started it. And, of course, that's a 3-week process.
3 weeks, right.
Yeah.
And so after you finished that 3-week process of the hyaluronic acid, how long did it last, and what level of pain reduction did you feel?
Probably went down to a 4 or 5.
Okay.
And that lasted maybe a month or 2.
Okay.
And but during that time, I did tend to learn how to walk differently. If that makes sense, not to put pressure
Sure.
on the really bad parts. I could see from the MRI which parts were really bad versus others. So I tried to adjust my gait to be able to not put so much pressure on the bad areas.
So after that period of time, how long was it before you received the stem cells?
Let me think. Well, I had those injections in May because they wanted me to do them again
Right.
now. And I just said, no, I'm not interested in that. And so, let's see, it was probably about May to August, 3 months.
Okay. 3 months. All right. And so then we saw you in August. and Dr. Sante did the injection on you.
Yes.
What did you feel like after the injection for, let's say, the first week or so?
Well, it felt somewhat similar to when I got the gel injections. That there was a cushioning in there, so it wasn't putting all of the weight on the painful areas of the bone and so on. So it was similar to that, I would say.
Okay. And so progressing further, say a month after that and now 2 months after that, what were your pain reduction intervals at those points?
Well, it was definitely going down. I'd say it probably went down like maybe a point a month or something like that. And I was out walking this morning in the cold.
Right.
And I had zero.
Oh,
pain.
that's wonderful.
Zero.
Wonderful.
Now, I can't say that happens every day.
Yeah.
But I was shocked that it happened today because I thought with the cold weather that would set off some pain with the arthritis in the bone.
So you think now your pain level's down to zero?
Not all the time, but there are times when it is down to zero. I would say it may go 1 or 2 or something like that. Once in a while, if I do something stupid, I step some way that's, I have to be thoughtful about what I do.
Right.
And so I might go back to that 5 or 6. But it's a quick thing, and then it's done. And I correct it, and I go on.
And then I was just extremely impressed because I saw you sprint up a very steep level of stairs that were very long. I don't know how many steps there are there, but I would say probably at least 30 or 35, something like that. And I was frankly blown away by how well that you had come up those stairs, considering when I saw you last August. After climbing those stairs, what was your pain level?
None.
Zero.
None.
There you go.
I would say we picked a pretty good day to have this podcast, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Actually,
Pretty good day to
I
have her
think
in. This
so.
was all, planned weeks ago, but we picked a very good day. One of the things that we offer that's unique is the service, the in-home service. Could you tell the people about your experience? Because we came to your home and we did this in the comfort of your living room. Tell the people about that experience.
Oh, it was great because I didn't have to go anywhere and wait in line and like you do at doctor's offices. That's just the way it happens. And it was really nice to have everybody there and all the process explained to me, and it didn't waste any of my time at all. It was all wonderful.
Yeah, we're this holistic style of medicine. If you think about that's how medicine used to be practiced.
Yeah, when I was a kid, the doctor came to me.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
And, because this is not covered by insurance right now, and in the foreseeable future, it will not, I'm sure that'll come around at some point, but in the foreseeable future, I think it's a nice addition, a nice bonus that, that and our doctors are willing to come to the person's home or wherever, we can meet. It's a semi-sterile environment and do it right there because, a lot of this is also, having a positive outlook.
I have that.
You have that in spades. That's why I knew the day that I met you that this was going to work out for you. We just had to overcome those obstacles.
Yes.
And the one thing that I pride myself on with the style of presentation, I want to talk about facts, not feelings. The facts that I lay out in the presentation are really, the history of stem cells, where it's come from, and what we're offering that's unique to other people that are not. Everybody that receives stem cells out there today are not receiving umbilical cord cells. Some of them are receiving their own cells.
Right.
The adult stem cells, and there's been people that have had positive reactions to that, but more than not, they've got no reaction. I've talked to dozens of people that got no reaction. We haven't had a single person that received the IV and the joint injection that got zero reaction. It's more of, you're one of the better, because you're in a short period of time and you're active. You went to Disney World just like 2 weeks ago, right? And spent 2 days
walking around.
No knee brace, came back, a little swelling afterwards, but we talked about getting ice packs on that. I'm sure that you've been doing that.
I have been doing that, yes.
Yeah, good. Well, another thing that was unique to your case is we used the electromagnetic therapy that you've been a big fan of.
Yes.
And I want you to just tell people a little bit about, your experience with the Beamer pad.
Well, I thought that it was very helpful to me. I mentioned earlier about my back and my neck. That kind of damage, it doesn't go away. But, there are days when it's bad and so on. And it did help me with that, with some of the, when that would act up. It helped, this was a kind of a strange thing you wouldn't think that it would help with, but I had some dental work done during that week that you let me have that. And my jaw, I was in agony. It took 5 shots to numb me.
Wow.
And after the numbing came out, I was left with agony in my jaw. And I had a headache, splitting headache that just would not stop. And I went in and I lay down on the Beamer with that side of my head on it while I was having it there. When I got done with I think it was a 20-minute session that you set me up with, the headache was gone. It was gone. Now, not the pain in the jaw. That actually took months, but it was going and going gradually. But what shocked me is the headache was gone. I don't like to take pills, and I didn't have to take any pills to get rid of it. And it had to be just the opening of the blood vessels and letting that circulation get to where it needed to be. It had to be that. I don't know.
I
what
could
else
just
it
see
could be.
people all around the country saying, well, will that work for a hangover?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't tried that, Todd.
I can imagine.
She's like, the hangover just went away.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice?
So, well, your story is unique to you, but there's a lot of people out there that are facing the exact challenge. They've tried all this stuff, right? Now it's either surgery or more cortisone, or more hyaluronic acid, or whatever they are shooting in these joints these days. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against that stuff. If that was the only thing that was at my disposal and I was in pain, I would pretty much take anything at that point, right? But the fact that we have this new technology and that people need to know about it because they need to have options,
Right.
And I really believe that your story and sharing your story today is going to inspire someone to open up maybe a new way of thinking and say, look, what do I have to lose?
Yeah.
Because once you have the surgery,
It's done. That's it.
so this is the next step. And my mother-in-law, so you didn't get to meet her, but before you leave, I would like you to meet her. She watches our 2-year-old. What a job.
What a job.
And she was limping so bad. It was breaking my heart because I would see her, chasing him and limping off, and it was a horrible gait. I mean, just because it was bad, right? We injected her. She got 1 injection, and then we did a follow-up injection about 6 weeks later. She doesn't even limp anymore. Sometimes I'll catch her limping. I'm like, Mom, are you okay? Oh, I forgot. I limped for so long. It's habit.
It is.
She'll straighten up and just
truly
start
is.
walking.
Oh, yeah. It is.
But
Yeah.
as far as her knee, we're talking about a 180. And they were telling her surgery. There was no other option. Absolutely. You need surgery. You need surgery. You need surgery. Well, maybe you do. Maybe you don't. And I think Ann's story may inspire some people to question, maybe some of the things that they were told, and look at some different options. And we're here to help. That's what the doc. So when you write into the website, he's going to be the one that's going to be doing the consultation, the initial consultation. And Doc, do you have anything you want to follow up with?
Yes. One of the things that I'm very impressed with Ann was when I first met you on the day that you had the injection from Dr. Sante. I could tell that you were tense. I could tell that you were in pain. In medicine, you hear terms like atelectasis and splinting and so on that are brought on by pain, and they're things that retard the healing process, quite frankly. Looking at you today, it is just so obvious to me. Your face is a lot more radiant. You're smiling a lot more. You seem to be a lot happier. Especially to me, you seem to have considerably more energy. Tell us a little bit about like what has happened to your energy level during this period of time subsequent to having the injections.
Unless somebody has had bad pain, they don't realize how draining it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's exhausting.
Yes, it
and
is.
when it doesn't let up, you can't be all that happy. I mean, you don't feel good.
No.
And it limits everything that you do. Crossing your legs, kneeling down, going up and down steps, even walking on an uneven surface. You know, you have to think about everything that you do
Right.
and how you're going to approach it. And you know, what's really funny is a lot of times I do try to wear my brace if I know I'm going to be on my feet a lot, because it gets, not because of pain, it gets tired. It gets tired. So, and I want to prevent any swelling from coming. And sometimes I'll come out, a lot of times I come out walking and I forget, oh, I don't have my brace on.
Right.
Because I'm feeling well enough, I don't even think to
Right.
put it on. And that feels so good. And then I'll say, well, I'm down here, I'm not going back up, I'm just going to walk. And I do. And I get it done. Now, I have to be careful. I don't want to overdo it. This is a work in progress. And so I keep it to 2 miles. But I've learned the ratio of working out. And then on the same day, I'll go to the health club and I'll work out. And, you know, one day I even go and volunteer. So, you know, I'm able to do things I couldn't volunteer for.
Sure.
months. And
Fantastic.
now I'm volunteering. So, and that makes me happy.
Of course.
So I can do things again that I saw myself doing and wasn't able to because of the pain. It's like a new world in a way.
I'm curious. You're married. You've got a wonderful husband, Tom. And I'm curious, since you've had this injection, you obviously are much happier. You're out of pain. What has it done for your relationship?
Well, I wasn't able to. He walks. He walks for his health too.
Right.
And I wasn't. And one of the things that we enjoy doing together was walking. I mean, we don't just walk; we talk.
Yep.
You know, it's a good
It's cathartic.
time for us.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to do that for months.
Right.
So I think it helped being able to get back and start to do that. We go to the health club together and work out. You know, so it was bringing back the together time
Of course.
that we used to spend, and we couldn't for a while. And it probably wasn't really happy times for him to see me glum all the time and
Yeah.
you know, move and I hurt, and I'm sure that, you know, it was probably pretty obvious that I didn't feel good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, what a lot of people don't realize is that when you have these pains, how much it affects your overall life, your spouse, if you have children, your children, and so on. And it helps to bring about a lot of family togetherness and a lot of happiness that you're giving up on otherwise when you're suffering with this much pain.
well, he was very supportive of the stem cell idea anyway, because he really, I'm afraid to have surgery
Yeah.
on a number of levels.
Yeah.
And he didn't want me to have surgery. And so he thought, as I thought, if there is something before that I can do that might work,
Sure.
it's worth trying it, you know, because if I just went straight to the surgery, I'll never know.
Right.
I never would have
Right.
known. So, I mean, I wouldn't do surgery now. I mean, unless something unexplained happens,
Right.
then I might have to if it were an accident or something. But I try to tell some of my friends that have had knee surgery or are facing it, you know, if you're in a financial position that you can think about this, you really should. You
yeah.
should take the option to do it if you can. They have one knee surgery, and then within a year they have to have the
Another
other
one, and then another one, and then another one.
I can't imagine
Yeah.
why anybody would want to put themselves through it more
No.
than once. But
I can't
anyway.
either. You know, it was very interesting when we went to your condominium for the procedure. I think it's the first time that we sort of met a welcoming party. And I guess a lot of your neighbors
They knew.
had heard that we were coming. And,
Many knew.
you know, I was kind of smiling about that. I smiled to Todd, and I said, boy, can you believe we have this welcoming committee out here? And so a lot of lot of your neighbors were rooting for you.
They were very,
Yeah.
very interested. I was the
Yeah.
guinea pig.
And so I'm just really curious now that that you've had this procedure, you've had the stem cells, and they see you doing the way that you're doing. What is your neighbor's response to this?
Well, it was fun, kind of fun. They asked me questions all the time. The ones that know what I did. There's others that walk. We're kind of famous because we walk every day. People don't even live in our building or know us, but it's like
Sure.
they think they know us because
Yeah.
they see us all the time.
Right.
And they'll come up to me. Oh, you don't have a brace on today.
Yeah.
Or why are you walking so good? You
Yeah.
know. And I don't even know these people's names.
Sure.
But they've been watching me, so it is obvious to people, and then the people that I know, my friends that I have actually had conversations with, they will they'll ask me, periodically. Some of them are facing more surgery,
Right.
and I think they're probably trying to think it through if it's going to be something that might work for them. So, yeah, and
Yeah, I was just curious after that because we were walking up and a couple of them said, "Oh, these must be the stem cell people."
did they really?
Yeah, they really did. So I was sort of amused by that. So I was wondering what their response was.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, they couldn't wait till I came down the next day to find out about it.
Oh, I
you know?
bet.
Yeah.
They were quite curious.
Well, they wanted to know, does it hurt? What's it feel like?
Yeah,
What did they
yeah.
do?
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling to someone who's had surgery and the length of the surgery and then the recovery after the surgery to say, well, he gave me a shot. I lay down and I put my leg in and he gave me a shot and that was it. And then what after? Nothing after. I just go about my life and here I am.
Right.
August to now, just beginning of December, and I can walk many times without pain. They weren't walking without pain in that short period of time.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't.
So,
And I knew that some of your neighbors were just looking to see that. So
Yes,
the
they were.
bottom line of it is that this has not only relieved you of discomfort, but it's made your home life better. It's brought more optimism to your neighbors and your friends, and all is good.
all is good.
Yeah.
So this basically is the reason that I get up these days. This has been my inspiration to go out and to find people like yourself to share this information. There was no sales involved. I didn't sell you. I didn't have to convince you. I just had to explain the process. You were brave. You said, this is something that I want to try. We did it, and now here we are, and I'm so happy and proud for you, and I'm blessed to have been a part of it and be in your life. So we're going to wrap this up. We thank everyone for tuning in. We thank Ann for coming and sharing her story, and we look forward to hearing more from her in the next year to come and better and better. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.